What's up guys, JV2017 here, and today we are taking a closer look at the Automatron trailer that Bethesda released earlier this week. If you missed the trailer, I made an analysis video that does a good job summarizing everything that was revealed, so I've left a link for you guys in the description below. Today, our focus is on all of the robot companion customization options that were shown off in the trailer, because as we can tell so far, Todd Howard really delivered on Bethesda's promise for deep customization in this DLC. So we're going to comb through this trailer and pause to look at each unique robot one by one so we can piece together as many of the different options that we'll see in the DLC as possible. Starting from the beginning of the trailer, the very first robot we see actually has some interesting options going on. So first off, it's an Automatron, kind of delivering the narrative to us. It's got interesting legs and arms. The right arm, we can very clearly see that it's a Protectron arm. Very, very weird to see on an Automatron. Also, both of its legs are Protectron legs as well. And then the left arm looks like a normal Automatron arm. So this leads me to believe that we're going to have different arm customizations, and a lot of the other robots we're going to see have separate arms. So it's not just going to be you can choose arms and then legs. It's going to be like right arm, left arm, and on and on. Additionally, we can see the packs on its back, and personally, I think this is going to be some kind of mod we can put on our custom robots to increase their carrying weight, because as you guys know, we're going to have robot companions with all of these options. I would think that some of these options are going to allow us to increase the carrying weight. Moving on, we get a look at this robot manufacturing factory, and there are a lot of kind of robots going on the assembly line. Those really are just copies of what I paused to show you guys right here. Now, initially, this looked really unique to me. I was like, what is this new robot? But really, this is just a Protectron that's stripped down and looks most like the utility Protectron, which is a variant of Protectron that you will come across in certain locations in Fallout 4 already. Just to compare these two side by side, clearly the legs and the feet are the exact same. Also, the middle part where it connects the legs to the top of the robot is the exact same on both of these. They also walk the same. So clearly, this is a Protectron. This next part really confirms what I just showed you guys. This is a utility Protectron, but something's very different. The bottom half of this robot is a Sentry Bot. Side by side, you can clearly tell those are Sentry Bot legs that have been shoved and slammed onto a Protectron top. So this gives us a glimpse of the possibilities that we can see, and it looks very believable as a robot. It doesn't look that ridiculous either. Before we move on, I want to direct your attention to the arms. Now, the arm on the left side of the screen looks like some sort of almost Gatling gun, maybe just like the Sentry Bot arm that I just showed you guys, maybe some kind of rotating gun that we can put on our Protectron arms. I've got a few theories for the arm on the right side of the screen. I'm not sure if this is a gamma gun, so it kind of looks like the dish you'd find on a gamma gun, or maybe it's just the coupling kind of, section of that arm where you can add on more different guns and whatnot. So it could just be a part of the Protectron, or it could very well be a gamma gun that we can put on our Protectron arms. Moving on, we can see a RoboBrain at the end of this corridor. It's kind of hard to see. We get a lot better of an angle towards the end of the video, so we're going to pause and look at that. But finally, we get some large-scale customization with this station here. So the way it's presented in the trailer is that we're going to be able to place down certain stations in our settlements where we can build and customize our robots. You can see the Soul Survivor on the right is going to be able to do that via a terminal. Let's direct our attention towards the robot now. We can tell that this is clearly a Protectron on the top, but as you go down, it gets really interesting. First off, it seems really armored to me. Maybe we'll have some different armor options to really beef up our robot companions. The arm on the left looks like a giant buzzsaw, and this looks a lot larger, at least in my opinion, from this angle than a Mr. Handy saw. Maybe we'll have to find a larger saw, or maybe this is just the same saw and I'm crazy. That could be the case as well, but it looks really big compared to the Soul Survivor in this image. And then the arm on the right looks like some sort of construction claw that you'd find on some giant machine in a modern construction site. So maybe, this robot will be able to grab things and kind of damage them that way. As we can see, the bottom is clearly two treads, and that's very much what a RoboBrain looks like, and we'll confirm that towards the end of the video. So this is pretty much a combination Protectron RoboBrain that will be able to roll around and really cut through things with this buzzsaw and this claw. We get a closer look as this robot turns, and I want to point out a few things here. First off, on the right side, it seems like this claw is maybe electrified. Maybe that's some kind of modification we can make so this robot can actually grab onto things and just electrocute them. That would be very cool. And then on the left side, we have some sort of like shoulder pad that's spiked, and it reminds me of a lot of the shoulder pads that raiders have out in the world. So maybe this is an additional armor modification just to increase the health or the damage resistance of this robot. This next scene gives us some great insight into the fact that we're going to be able to place these stations to customize our robots in different settlements. At least that's what I'm getting from this. And the back of this garage really looks like Red Rocket to me. I would be shocked if it wasn't. And this makes me think, hey, we can actually place these things in different settlements. Also in the top right, again, we see our Soul Survivor being able to control this station from a terminal. Zooming forward, we actually get to see what it's going to look like from a UI standpoint to actually select these different parts and rotate new parts in. Of course, this Protectron that was normal before now has a Robo Brain on top and some kind of mid-sized chassis. That's at least how I'm looking at this. This appears to be a small-sized chassis, so they kind of move from the mid-sized torso to kind of the small torso. Maybe that'll make the robot faster. We don't really know. And then we have this more heavy-duty torso that really looks like some kind of engine almost. We're not sure what the benefits of swapping these things out might be. Maybe the robot's faster, maybe it has more resistances, more health. We'll just have to find out. Now to the good stuff. We get a real rapid fire of different combinations, so let's break these down one by one. First off, this is a giant robot, and it looks like it has a RoboBrain tread bottom at the very bottom, so we can clearly tell that, but it's segmented into two parts, and I can't really tell you guys what that middle torso part is. Maybe it's just like a large chassis, like I just kind of explained. The arm on the left side of the screen looks like some kind of energy weapon, and maybe this is the chain lightning kind of weapon that Bethesda actually mentioned in their post. When they first talked about Automatron, they mentioned some kind of chain lightning gun for our robot companions. This probably looks like it's it. The arm on the right obviously looks like some kind of giant gun. I don't know if those are gun barrels or maybe they shoot like really thin, long torpedoes. It looks like some kind of terrifying gun. What's most interesting to me about this robot is the eye, this weird eye that's jutting out of it. It almost looks like what a giant robot with a Mr. Handy variant would look like, you know, because the Mr. Handy has these three robotic eyes. This is like some kind of flat, square eye, and we don't really know what the purpose of that is, why that's there, or maybe it's just a customization, you know, kind of cosmetic option, just something you can choose that doesn't really affect it. This next pink Mr. Handy variant is some weird Frankenstein monstrosity of a robot in my opinion. First off, on the bottom, we've got those Protectron legs that we've seen before. We've also got that pack in the midsection, maybe to increase carrying weight. It almost looks like a roll-up sleeping bag. A lot of people are asking for sleeping bags because of the new survival mode, so maybe that is extra carrying weight, maybe it's a sleeping bag, we don't really know. On the Mr. Handy top hat, we've got some really interesting things going on. First off, those three eyes are completely different, so maybe depending on the robot halves that you choose or sections and segments that you choose, you'll have different options. Obviously with the Mr. Handy, you'll be able to change their eyes, and so in the center we've got that weird square eye that I was just pointing out, so I guess that's just another eye. You know, on the right side, on the very right, that eye looks very weird. It doesn't even look like a normal Mr. Handy eye, so we don't know what that's about. On the left side is a very weird looking Mr. Handy eye. It almost looks like an iBot eye for some reason. I don't think iBots really have eyes. And so this is a very weird combination. I'm not really sure what to make of it, but clearly we got a lot of customization options. Did I say the last one was weird? Because this one is definitely the strangest of all. It's a very tall robot, first off. I don't know where those legs come from. Those are very long legs. Perhaps we'll be able to customize the length of legs, but the top part looks most to me like a SentryBot top, and then we've got some weird interesting arms going on. As we move closer, the right arm is clearly that saw blade that we've kind of already seen running, and the middle almost looks like a skull. That looks like a skull, some kind of animal skull to me, and then some kind of horns that are protruding outwards, and then some kind of mufflers with a car engine in the middle. I don't know if you guys are seeing the same thing that I am, but it looks like some kind of robot that's really thrown together from random parts found out in the world. Since we are just speculating here, I'm going to throw it out and say maybe this is some kind of monstrosity that the Mechanist has just thrown together, just grabbed random parts out in the world, thrown this thing together, and it's just like, kill me, I'm in so much pain. It's that kind of robot. This one was really easy to miss because Bethesda only dedicated like 3 frames of the whole video to it, but essentially this to me looks like a SentryBot bottom, and then the center looks like a Protectron kind of chassis with the arms going out, and then we've got some interesting arms going on, and then the very top is some kind of teddy bear customization for the head that we're going to be able to use as well. The arm on the left side, I don't know what this could be. This almost looks more like a viable chain lightning arm than the other one, because obviously this arm can't do anything. It's not going to like hurt anybody, so I think it's going to arc some kind of lightning. That's kind of my guess. And then on the right, that pretty much looks like the same kind of battery that we had for the buzzsaw before, so I think this will be another buzzsaw arm. Really quickly, we've already seen this shot before. It was a promotional image for Assaultron. It was the only thing we had to go off of for like a month, but essentially this is a giant sentry bot. It's got some of the packs that we've seen before. The arm on the right side looks like a normal Protectron arm, while the arm on the left looks like this giant armored arm. We could only guess what kind of gun is on the other side of that. And now we've got an interesting kind of scenario where two robots are fighting each other. Maybe one is the Mechanist and one is ours. The robot on the right, the blue one, has a left arm that appears to be some kind of rotating gun. Again, I'm going to keep going with this theory that there's some kind of rotating gun that we're going to have on arms, some kind of machine gun. But by and large, this looks like a very standard Protectron to me. It does have some kind of electric kind of looking tubes at the top. Maybe one of those arms is electrified. We're going to zoom in to get a better look at this robot on the left side. It looks like pretty much a standard Protectron with some variations, obviously. So the arms you're going to see in just a second are going to spew out fire. So those are flamethrower arms, which are very cool. But I wanted to point out, first off, the center, the head area. It seems like it's the shell of a Protectron head, but in the middle is a skull. And I don't know what that's about, if that's going to provide any benefits or if that's just a cosmetic choice. It looks very, very interesting, though. Definitely worth pointing out. Very quickly, we see the flamethrowers and then move on to this next clip of these two robots fighting. So the blue robot on the right, let's kind of dissect what we're seeing here. So first off, there's two different thrusters, or maybe there's several, but there's some in the back you can see on the top of this robot, and then some in the front. Not really sure what these are about. Maybe it propels this robot forward to make it move faster, but it does definitely lunge at this robot on the left. And also the robot on the right has a buzzsaw arm, pretty standard for what we've seen so far. As the Assaultron variant on the left completely obliterates this other robot, let's look at what it has going on. So on its right arm, we see this weird combination of what looks like two sledgehammers kind of sandwiched together and a buzzsaw in the middle. So maybe there's going to be some different types of buzzsaws that we're going to have available. On its back, we see some kind of metal-looking shield. It's very spiky. I want to say it's a shield, but then again, it could just be some kind of cosmetic option for our robot companions. Our next robot fight is a very interesting one. First off, on the right, we have a floating robot. So this is what it would look like if you matched a different robot with a Mr. Handy bottom. So clearly, Mr. Handy bottom is going to allow us to have floating robots that look different, which is going to be very cool. It's kind of got a small-looking chassis. It's a small-looking floating robot, so maybe it's got that small chassis like we looked at earlier. But its arms are the most interesting part to me. First off, the arm that's in the middle of the screen that just hit the shit out of that other robot looks like a giant punching arm. So that arm is literally for punching other robots or enemies out in the Commonwealth. It's a very interesting idea. And then the other arm on the right side of the screen, that is very Big Daddy Bioshock looking to me. That is very much a drill arm that is very, very cool looking. There's really a lot that's noteworthy about the robot on the right, but the last thing I want to point out is this kind of guard shield that it has protruding out. Maybe that increases damage resistance or something along those lines. Now looking at our robot on the left side of the screen, we've got some kind of weird Viking cosmetic helmet, and I'm hoping that adds some kind of resistance. It looks really cool, and also some kind of shoulder guards. So it seems like there's a lot of different little pieces we can really mess around with, and I'm looking forward to that. We can see that the arm on the right is a standard Protectron arm, just with the little claws, not really remarkable at all. However, the arm on the left is very interesting. It's actually one of the arms on the utility Protectron that we've already seen, and that arm shoots railway spikes because it's a construction worker Protectron. So that's going to be one of our options when we are customizing. Looking at our next robot battle, we've got a similar kind of Protectron variant that we saw before, earlier in the video. It's got the RoboBrain treads on the bottom, the Protectron top, kind of a big middle chassis, and also these weird claw arms, and they look electrified as well. We don't see any feedback of that when this robot hits the other robot, so that's a little interesting to see, but not, anything really different than what we've seen on the right side. Our Mr. Handy / Mr. Gutsy on the left has all saw blades for its arms. So that makes me think that we're going to be able to individually choose these arms and customize them, put all saw blades. That could be a very dangerous variation there. And also in different bits on its armor, it seems to be more armor than usual. So on the legs, there seems to be kind of some leg guards there and also some eye guards. Next up, we get a nice angle at this giant sentry bot that just charged at this poor little robot that has no chance, obviously, facing this giant sentry bot, but it looks more armored, but it's mostly intact. In the midsection is something I pointed out before. It looks like some kind of car with mufflers. I'm not sure what that's about. Maybe that is kind of something you're going to find on sentry bots or some kind of mid-armor customization option, but the weapon that you can see very clearly in the air is actually shared by both robots. Both robots have this kind of Gatling gun kind of variant going on here, and it looks very, very cool. And again, we're seeing the same kind of horn cosmetic option for the head of this sentry bot. Next, I wanted to point out in this next scene, there's going to be a very cool Assaultron sword that this thing pulls out. But first off, what is this blue thing that's following underneath it? It looks like some kind of electric mine, or maybe something where if you're in a certain radius of this robot, it's going to get electrocuted. I'm not sure what's going on there, but kind of follow that as I play the video. Moving forward, this is something I pointed out in my main analysis video, but the sword that this Assaultron just flipped out looks amazing, and it looks like some kind of shish kebab that we can essentially attach to our Assaultron robot companion. And so I'm very excited for the Assaultron sword or blade or whatever this is, but imagine if you put 2 of these on both of the arms of the Assaultron. It would be banana nuts insane. In the interest of time, we're going to jump forward just a little bit, and I apologize for this shot. This is the best shot I could get of these 2 robots running at the Soul Survivor, but man, first off, I want to point out these things move really quickly, and they look to be like just normal Protectron variants. I don't know what that's about. Also, they got these weird kind of lifting claws. So they look like there's some kind of new construction worker variant. I don't know what those claws are about, but obviously you can see front and center, the big Mr. Handy Eye is just kind of hanging out there. So it seems like this is definitely going to be a cosmetic option. We can put this Mr. Handy Eye on any robot, it seems. This is also something I pointed out in my main analysis. This Protectron variant just jumps on top of the Soul Survivor and starts going at it, just murdering this guy. And it's got some kind of swords on its arms. This does not look like the corkscrew drill that I pointed out earlier on that floating Mr. Handy variant. No, this looks like something different entirely. So it's also worth noting that it has some kind of electricity mod that I've pointed out several times in this video already. And this is a death animation that's very similar, if not the same, as the Assaultron already has. The Assaultron can jump on top of the player and do this as well already in the game. Maybe that means this thing has Assaultron legs and it allows it to do that. We're really not sure at this point. Next, we get probably the best angle of any robot in this entire 1-minute trailer, but we also get a look at the serrated edge blade that I just pointed out before. This is the same blade, so that's going to be a blade option for our robot companions. And also, this Protectron variant has an Assaultron head, so we get a nice, clear, look at all of these customization options. Moving forward, we're going to pause quickly to get a look at this eyebot customization that looks like some kind of shield, kind of like a football helmet, but for the eyebot, I guess adding more protection for that variant. We see some of the same variants we've already seen in this video running at the Soul Survivor. What I wanted to pause here to look at this giant sentry bot that I also pointed out in my analysis. It just looks heavily armored from the bottom, and a lot of these armor pieces are clearly inspired by Raider armor. A lot of them look like the cages that you can find out in the game and you can obviously equip on your Soul Survivor. And then obviously we need to pay attention to these Gatling guns. These weapons look very terrifying. I don't know if those are missile kind of, shooters from the bottom of that. I don't really know what we're looking at, but they do look very powerful. Quick pause here. I just want to point out that this robot is shooting some kind of flamer looking gun. It looks very similar to the flamer that we had in previous games, so maybe that will return in the form of a robot customization weapon. And to wrap up this really long video, we're going to get a nice look at all of these robots that the Mechanist has at his disposal. Front and center is the RoboBrain, again returning. It looks largely the same. You can see the treads, so a lot of the variations that we've seen in this video are derived from this RoboBrain. One of the arms looks to be special, some kind of weapon. It's hard to speculate from this angle, and really, it's really just guessing at this point. It looks like some kind of powerful weapon. On the far left looks like a very heavy-duty sentry bot kind of variation. It's hard to really look at specifics on that, but it does look more armored and definitely different than anything we've seen. So definitely more customization, cosmetic options there. On the right side, once again, we have a very unique variation. This to me looks like a sentry bot top paired with Protectron arms with some kind of weapon in each arm. And then the legs could either be like really armored Assaultron legs or maybe Protectron legs. But again, they look really long. I don't know where these long legs are coming from, so we'll have to see about that. Finally, our last pause of the video, the robot on the right looks like a heavily customized version of a sentry bot, similarly to the one I just pointed out in the very back. And on the left, we have a Protectron top without its kind of shell casing. And then on the bottom, I believe those are Assaultron legs, something along those lines, kind of on the bottom of that robot. Okay, I'm gonna go take a breather. I've been talking so much for this video, but I wanted to hear from you guys. What are all of the variations you guys are excited about? What is your ideal robot that you plan on creating for the Automatron DLC? Share all of that in the comment section below. Alright guys, today we looked at all of the robot companion customization options that we should be seeing in the Automatron DLC coming soon. And next time we will cover more Fallout on my channel, so stay tuned for more Fallout 4 tips and tricks videos. If you learned something new, remember to hit that like button. I would really appreciate it. And don't forget to subscribe for more DLC coverage, build guides, and general tips and tricks videos. Talk to you guys next time. Peace.